And we're back. And it's been a while due to my hellish personal life, but I'm finally back. Today it is October, so the 2026 Eurovision national selection season is only a matter of weeks away in some cases, situation pending. So it's time to get down to business and outline what needs to change, what needs to stay the same for each competing country, provided none withdraw. Except that one you're all thinking of. Let's go. Albania. This system is good. Keep it. Albania introduced a new musical director for 2025 in the form of former contestant Elhaj Dani. With it, we got the most musically diverse and yet still very obviously Albanian Festivali I Këngës in a long time. It produced Zyrm, which was one of Albania's best ever entries. Nothing more needs to be said. Armenia. Why is Depi Evratesil a thing? Armenia brought back Depi Evratesil for 2025, having been gone since that long-forgotten cancellation of 2020. This was after results of 20th, 14th and 8th in the previous three contests with internally selected acts, and a global smash hit in Rosa Lynn's Snap. After Depi Evratesil was brought back, they sent ESC Gabe lookalike Parg with Survivor. Lyrics: I'm a survivor, a stay-aliver. They got 20th, and were lucky to do so. Get rid of it. Australia. Keep searching, you'll get it eventually. Australia received back-to-back non-qualifications for the first time in their history in 2024 and 2025, with Electric Fields and Gojo. Both were incredibly unique entries that the public didn't quite take to enough to put through. Gojo's non-qualification in particular was a shock. Despite this record, I reckon Australia will eventually find something that sticks, although I wouldn't necessarily be against a return to the Australia Decides format. Austria. Recognise where the talent is when you host. The 2015 Eurovision Song Contest was hosted in Vienna by Three Robots and Conchita Wurst. Conchita Wurst was the green room host. Why? Their winner this year, JJ, has previously said he wants to host it, but now says he'd like better to focus on his own performance of his own songs. There will probably be either an opening or interval act. But there's other talent there. Conchita herself could host. You also have Philip Hansa, who's been the jury spokesperson for the past million years. And Andy Knoll, a long-term commentator, surely could also be involved. The hosting of the contest has gotten much better in the 2000s, with funnier hosts and more show numbers. My worry is we're going to a country that hosted fairly recently and didn't do too well with it. Azerbaijan, sack Eldar Gazimov. Eurovision 2011 winner Eldar Gazimov, as part of El and Nicky, has been the musical director for Azerbaijan for the last 4 years, overseeing a change from borrowed Swedish songwriters to local Azeri talents instead. Talents is unfortunately in inverted commas though. Not that Azeris can't write, but that Gazimov appears to keep giving the nod to people he already knows and has connections with. All of this has resulted in 3 non-qualifications in a row, with Tural Turan-X, Faray featuring Ilkin Dovlatov, and now a last-place semi-final finish with Mama Gama. If Gazimov isn't going to change, he needs to go now. Belgium. Less off-putting this time. Belgium are cursed when it comes to Eurovision recently. Musti in 2004 was eliminated after being a near favourite in the odds. In 2025 they were odds favourites until Red Sebastian was selected and then lost in the semi-finals again. What I will say is that Musti's voice isn't great live, and Red Sebastian's song and staging was quite off-putting, and I wonder if scaling it back would be beneficial for them. Croatia. Don't let this result make you afraid to be bold again. Croatia are experiencing an interesting period in their Eurovision history. Baby Lasagna in 2024 was a public vote winner and overall runner-up, after Rim Tim Taggy Dim was a cult favourite among Eurovision fans. Marko Bosniak in 2025 didn't quite have the same effect, losing out in the semi-finals with an eye-catching and interesting entry, Poison Cake. Whilst it wasn't to be for this year, it's an indicative of a shift in opinion from those involved in Croatia at Eurovision. In 2024, Baby Lasagna wasn't supposed to even compete in Dora. This year, Marko Bosniak's entry was allowed to thrive in that competition, eventually winning and going to Eurovision. So I hope that the bad result doesn't end up with Croatia going the other way next year and being less bonkers. Cyprus. Stop hyping yourselves up. Cyprus are the biggest hype merchants in the Eurovision Song Contest. Theo Evan was hyped up big time. One of the earliest reveals and one of the longest times from artist to song reveal in the entire contest. Turned out to be a massive disappointment, and it wasn't really that surprising in hindsight that they didn't qualify for the final. Only hype yourself up if you can back it up. Czechia. Please don't leave. To be honest, this was partially written before Czechia confirmed participation, but I was concerned that they would be on their way out after making pretty optimistic statements before the 2025 contest. Thank goodness they're still here. Keep doing what you're doing, you're one of the best delegations out there. Denmark. Look at Croatia and copy them. Never mind the fact that they got to the final, Denmark's non-qualification streak deserved to continue in 2025. They have next to no creativity in their national final DMGP. The staging is very ordinary every year. Nothing seems to change from DR. They need to look towards countries like Croatia, Estonia, and Finland for inspiration, because at the moment, it's tragic. Estonia. Keep doing what you're doing. Of all the countries who haven't won in the last 20 or so years, Estonia is, in my opinion, among the most likely to get there again. Este Laul as a format is evolving, as are the quality of the songs in it, and every year the staging seems to back up the entry perfectly. Couple that with the variety of their entries in recent years, and you have a Eurovision powerhouse. Just keep going. Finland. Same to you. If Estonia are ramping up for a potential future Eurovision win, Finland are already in the arena. UMK is a fantastic national final, and the arena setting shows that they are ready to win the Eurovision Song Contest in the immediate future. So once again, all I ask is that they continue on this trajectory and artistic direction. France. Your arrogance continues to be your downfall. Listen to us next time. If I were to ask you which country in Eurovision is the most arrogant about their entry every year, you'd say that country that's ruined the past two contests. But after them, you'd say France. This year is a clear example of that. Diarrhea Gate, although hilarious, proved that it doesn't work to blame your audience when they laugh at you instead of applaud. If you listened to us, you'd have taken that out and improved the entry. Georgia. Try. Mariam Shengelia with that absolutely diabolical wall of nonsense sounds that was extremely grating to hear was their entry in 2025. Just after Nutsa Firefighter 12 points, Buzaladze, ended their non-qualification streak in 2024. This, coupled with stories relating to Russian interference, makes for a pretty grim situation with Georgia in Eurovision. Please send an actual song next year. Germany. Be careful. Learn. But don't repeat. Germany is one of the countries I feel the most conflicted about following the 2025 contest. Baller was a banger of a tune and incorporates German into a Eurovision entry for the first time since insert year from a very long time ago here. I couldn't be bothered to do the research for that bit. However, it wasn't winner material. It was progress. Stefan Raab was not the one who brought you that progress, however. Stefan Raab actively limited that progress by creating that frankly stupid national final format. Please ensure next year that while a format is not repeated, you select a song that can truly contend still. Greece. You know better than me on this one. When Klavdia with Asteramata won Ethnikos Telekos, I was baffled. When Klavdia with Asteramata qualified for the final of Eurovision 2025, I was baffled. When Klavdia with Asteramata finished 6th in the final of Eurovision 2025, I was extremely baffled. I have no idea why it did any of those things, but clearly there's an appeal for certain fans. And while I didn't like the Ethnikos Telekos format, it's being expanded for 2026. So clearly they know more about how to do well at Eurovision than I do. Iceland. keep the variety. It's very difficult to come up with advice for Iceland in Eurovision at the moment. Vibe were amazing and we all love them to bits in the Eurovision fan community. However, this is against the backdrop of quite underwhelming results over the past few years. I will say I like the variety on show at Songvakeppnin, and I feel that the problem may just be with the winners of that show in recent years, not you, Vibe or Daddy Freya, rather than the method itself. Ireland. Get out of that studio. Eurovision fans have been asking, nay begging, RTE to move to a proper arena setting for years. And this was the first year that I kind of realised the same thing. The charming setting of the little studio is actively hindering their chances at the contest. They need a proper arena so that the staging is attended to properly. You don't even have to remove it necessarily as part of the Late Late Show umbrella. Just have it as a special in a different setting. Israel. Nope. Moving on. Italy. Get a less misogynistic jury for San Remo. When they revealed that all 5 qualifiers for the San Remo Superfinal were men, the crowd started booing extremely loudly in the arena. And I get the feeling that it wasn't the public that made that decision. Plain and simple. For a country that has sent 1 female soloist and 1 female band member in the past 9 years, this is not good enough. Latvia. Same as Iceland, keep the variety. Tautumeitas were far from the only option from Supernova in 2025, and there were at least 3 or 4 that could have qualified for the final. The level of quality and variety in their potential entries is fantastic. Keep doing it. Lithuania. Slight opposite. Balance the variety with more quality. It felt for me like Eurovision LT was full of variety in 2025, however struggling in terms of quality. Catharsis were among the best, but that weakness unfortunately showed in the final result. They may want to slightly scale back the crazy variety and ensure that the songs are good. Luxembourg. For goodness sake, change that format. Luxembourg Song Contest is not a very good show at all. It feels like the songs that get selected are not anywhere near the level of quality one expects from a country with 5 Eurovision wins. And it's not like they'd be starred for applicants, being one of Eurovision's newest returnees. So whoever does the selections for that contest, please do better. Malta. Diva is down. A trend among recent Eurovisions is to send an absolute diva to the contest, and Malta tends to send those quite often. Destiny Ciucaniera is an example of one of their most successful acts, after all. However, they seem to not be doing so well in recent years, and the response from Miriana Conte appeared to be to go more outrageous. Unfortunately, that just made it more off-putting, and she received 8 televote points in the final. Try something else next time, Malta. Just a quick insert here, firstly because this is where Moldova would be, and I'd like to add that I hope they return for 2026, but also because I want you to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Back to the video. Montenegro. Try again. This wasn't your fault. Montenegro were, in my opinion, the unluckiest country in Eurovision 2025 by a country mile. They had a successful new national final format on their return to the contest, in which they selected a fantastic, catchy act, Neo Noyan with clickbait. Unfortunately, it was revealed that they had previously performed their song before the September deadline, and although the EBU has previously relaxed that rule, Neo Noyan withdrew before the EBU had a chance to have their say. This meant that the less interesting runner-up, Nina Zizic with Dobrodošli, was sent in their place. She then got a voice crack on stage on the live broadcast of the semi-final, and so finished last. None of this is within the Montenegrin broadcasters' control, so hopefully they don't lose heart and they try the same formula next year. Netherlands. National final, please? It's not going to happen, but Cloud's entry, C'est la vie, though a great song, lacked that extra push it needed to resonate with the public. I wonder if having the public input that a national final brings would ensure that that doesn't become an issue next year. Norway. Go back. Norway's changes for Melody Grand Prix 2025 were slightly baffling, going from the semi-final format to a one-show final, reducing the number of entries to just 10, and overall the quality of those entries tanked as well. Kyle Alessandro's Lighter was the only really acceptable choice, and even that wasn't perfect. Hopefully next year Norway goes back to the semi-final format. Poland. Do it again! Poland announced a new national final after internally selecting in 2024. This national final was entirely selected via public vote. It selected Justyna Stryjkowska with Gaia, a brilliant Eurovision entry with an even better stage show. Just do the same again. This formula works. Portugal. Another one that knows better than I do. Portugal, keeping their now 5-year qualification streak alive in 2025, was a shock to all of us. And I'm still struggling to explain it now. But clearly, once again, there's something people saw in that entry that they loved enough to vote for it. And enough people did that to send it through. Good job, Portugal. Keep it up. San Marino. I guess that format works as well. When San Marino switched from Una Voce per San Marino to San Marino Song Contest, I was slightly concerned that we'd be losing everything that makes that format great. I was wrong, and long may that continue. I just love the fact that anyone can enter. It's like an extra fan-voted entry every year. Serbia. Bigger fish to fry, but sort your discrepancies out. Serbia are going through it politically at the moment, and so are their broadcaster. So I'll go fairly easy on them just this once. However, there is something they can do to improve their national final format that isn't politics related. And it's sort out this screaming difference between your jury and your public votes. Something's wrong if your jury is giving nothing to your public vote winner and 12 to the entry your public gives 4. Slovenia. Don't be too discouraged from using EMA again, but choose the right winner this time. EMA returned to Slovenia for the first time since 2022 in 2025. It's an unconventional national final at the best of times, but the format seems to be okay, if a little concerning given the fact it ended a qualification streak for them. I still think July Jones would have qualified if she had been sent over Clemen. So hopefully, if you do EMA again next year, you select the right entry. Spain. Stop it. Benidorm Fest is a clearly interesting, innovative and successful format in Spain and in the wider Eurovision fandom. However, Spain are still in atrocious form when it comes to results in the contest. They haven't come higher than 17th in the last 3 years. And unfortunately, it stems from the fact that Eurovision is seen as a bit of an afterthought when it comes to Benidorm Fest. And they never then seem to select the more appropriate acts for Eurovision. Maybe if they stopped viewing it through a Spanish lens and more through a Eurovision lens, they'd be more successful at the main contest. Sweden. Don't crawl back to that industry. SVT is probably in the most difficult predicament of its tenure doing Melodifestivalen. Kai with Barabada Bastu winning the show in 2025 represented a shift away from a generic pop-dominated industry that had a chokehold on the variety side of the competition, the creativity side of the competition, to a more varied and interesting entry that people actually wanted to vote for at Eurovision. Bearing in mind that Sweden haven't won the televote at Eurovision since 2012. People are over that same old sound. And it's only going to get worse if you stick with it. So even though you finished a distant 4th whilst being favourites to win, you do need to keep the variety in the national final and keep going down that line. Switzerland. Try moving away from ballads. Switzerland's host entry Zoe May with Voyage wasn't a massive letdown by any means, and it finished top 10 overall, the host curse trending towards being a thing of the past all of a sudden. But in the televote, it very much still appears to be there. The question now is, how do Switzerland push on and become a Eurovision behemoth? Is it possible to go for another win almost immediately? I think it may take a different artistic direction to do so, as Nemo seemed to prove in 2024. So try moving away from a song that sounds like it could be on the next John Lewis Christmas advert, and see what you can do with a bop, for example. Ukraine. don't change. It may be tempting for Suspilna to change a few things after Ukraine's worst result in the contest since 2018. But I say the opposite. Vidbir clearly works as a format, and it's still your 5th top 10 finish in a row. There's no need to adjust anything. Don't panic. Don't change. United Kingdom. More different, but not whatever that was. BBC finally sent something that wasn't generic dance pop to Eurovision in 2025. But it wasn't exactly the right form of different either. Remember Monday's voices are amazing, and the song showcased that to a decent extent. They got rewarded with a top 10 in the juries, but of course, that gets you nowhere without entertainment value, and they got 0 points from the public. My advice would be to send a rock band. We have plenty under the surface in this country. Surely BBC Introducing and others have something like that on their books. So that is it. All 37 countries that participated in the 2025 Eurovision Song Contest have now been given my advice for Eurovision 2026. If you enjoyed this look ahead at what they should do, then what you should do is give this video a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.